But we are at 1:03 here, Eastern Time. My name is Preeti. I'm with Visible AI. As you can see in my background, where I have two logos behind me, Critic 360 and Visible AI. Today, we're going to be talking about Visible AI, but our parent company is called Critic. You can find us at critic.io. But Visible AI is what we're going to be talking about. We are an authorship tracking tool that enables instructors to get the transparency that they need when they see that students are using AI in their classroom. And I'm sure it's happening everywhere, in industry, in education, in schools, everywhere it's happening. So why not give a platform for students and instructors to see exactly how they're using? Because we don't want critical thinking skills to be impacted. We want to see the impact of learning. So why not give instructors and students a platform where they can see what their students are learning, and students can submit their work without any worry of whether they are going to be flagged for plagiarism when they actually didn't plagiarize their work. And also, like today we're in a world where AI is there to stay, and we of course want to encourage students to learn how to use it responsibly, faculty to use it to work efficiently. So today's speaker, Christine, is the program director at Point Loma Nazarene University. She, along with her colleagues, kind of drove this whole process at Point Loma to, lead innovation, lead responsible AI adoption at their school. And that's what Christine is going to be talking about, how she was some challenges that she faced, what were some student outcomes, what were some initial hesitations among students, all of that we're going to be talking about. But I'm going to pass it on to her in just a few minutes. So here's a little profile about her work. She's been with PLNU since 2016. She brings a rich experience in education in various roles. Right now at PLNU, she leads the program development, supports faculty, mentors teachers. So she's coming with a lot of experience. Her goal is, of course, to get her students literate with using AI, use it responsibility, use it to enhance their critical thinking skills, and not use it as a copy paste tool. My name is Preeti. I have been with Visible AI for a little over 3 years now. I'm with Critic for a little over 3 years now. And I'm joined by my colleague, Dave. And Dave, you can introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Preeti. I'm the enterprise account director here at Visible AI. I have been with Critic, I guess, coming on to 6 years now, so since almost the beginning. So, and looking forward to showing you guys what we're doing.
Yeah, amazing. So we're going to be talking about well, Christine is going to be talking about, the process that she had with, adopting a new AI technology. And I'm sure it comes with a lot of challenges. And please feel free to chime in, use the chat to ask your questions, because I'm sure all of you are in the same boat with regards to AI adoption. She's going to be talking about student buy-in, and then we're going to pass it on to Dave, who's going to show us what Visible AI can do, a full 15-minute product walkthrough. And then Christine is going to be showing some examples of how her students used AI responsibly, used it for their learning, used it to focus on the process rather than the final output. And then we're going to end today's presentation with some resources, next steps. If you are interested in, trying Visible AI at your school, we're going to show you what you can do. But now I'm going to pass it on to Christine. But I want to start us off with a question, Christine. If you can, so AI has been now, it's been a little over 3 years since, AI became, available to everyone, open source. And now AI is there and pretty much everywhere. So we know AI is not going anywhere. And you as an educator, you're teaching teachers of tomorrow, or even students, it applies to students as well, teachers of tomorrow who are going to be using AI in the classroom. So start us off with telling us like what is it that educators need to do to prepare to teach in an AI driven classroom?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Tokunaga at PLNU, and I'm so happy to be here to share my experiences in the work we've been doing with visual AI. And yeah, it's so true that, and you're right, Preeti, that AI is here to stay. And so our work to prepare educators is to work with it, not around it, which means building AI literacy alongside human-centered teaching. So we're hoping that we can model how AI can, number one, enhance inclusion by adapting lessons, translating materials, and making learning more accessible for all students. And then two, leveling the playing field, not just for our students who lack resources, but for new teachers who need planning support and quick access to quality ideas. And lastly, to deepen critical thinking and really um, ensure creativity, or bring creativity by using reflective practices on the work and shifting kind of like the routine, uh, so that AI can do the work, and so teachers can design richer, more engaging learning experiences for their students. And so we want our educators to verify AI outputs for accuracy, bias, and alignment with learning goals. So their use of AI is more reflective, both for ethics and equity. Because at the end of the day, AI can support great teaching, but it's the human connection that truly transforms learning. And so AI is definitely here to stay. And I think it's a really amazing tool that we can really embrace. So here are some of the challenges before using Visible AI. The first course that I introduced AI was at the very end of our teaching preparation program, which is clinical practice, which is student teaching. And during clinical practice, they're navigating full demands of student teaching, which include like completing rigorous performance assessments like the CalTPA. They're doing lesson plans, they're shadowing their mentor teachers. So they have experience planning lessons. They have foundational knowledge of the content of ELD standards and learning goals and supporting students with learning differences. But now in clinical practice, they're planning standard-based lessons that reflect inclusivity and critical thinking for the real classroom. So it's like real life to them. And so it's a very high stakes and intense time in the final phase of their program. And so introducing AI kind of added another layer of uncertainty, and especially with questions around academic honesty and whether AI could be really used ethically. But we truly believe that it was a way to reduce anxiety, to offer clarity, and really empower students to use AI as a legitimate brainstorming tool. Like kind of what I explain to my students is that, uh, you know, to be able to create and brainstorm, you're asking your cooperating teacher, you're asking the grade level team, you're using teachers' guides and Googling things and using Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers. Just like that, AI is just another tool. It's a brainstorming tool. So AI policy at Point Loma Nazarene University, our institutional AI policy recognizes the potential benefits of AI, emphasizing academic integrity. So faculty determine how the approved AI tools are used in their classrooms, and students are expected to use these tools ethically and with attribution. We see generative AI as a tool to enhance how we teach, learn, and then how we work with it. And our AI policy is designed to really encourage thoughtful exploration while ensuring safety and ethics and alignment. We're really grateful for the opportunity to be able to pilot visual AI in our classrooms because we could truly see how students are using it and really see the growth and learning process. So it's been really exciting for us. And I wanted to share our university president's quote. He really summed up our approach to AI beautifully in this statement. Our challenge is to approach AI use with clarity and purpose, asking hard questions and making space for discernment and critical engagement. And so this is my goal for how I approach AI in preparing for future teachers. So kind of like our barriers with student buy-in and adoption. If you want to go to the next slide. When we first started talking about AI in the classroom, I could sense some initial skepticism. There was the fear of doing it wrong or getting in trouble or for using it and then being monitored. And I think that's natural anytime a new tool emerges, especially when it's getting so much public attention. You see AI talk everywhere. And so there's uncertainty about the rules and the right way to approach it. To ease some of the fears, we took time to discuss what AI is, and I drew from the knowledge from our students because many times they are the experts because they've been utilizing it. I modeled visual AI use live in the class so students could see my thinking process in real time. And so I also shared real lesson planning examples. Some of them were successful and some of them were work in progress, just to show that it's okay to experiment and refine and make mistakes. And so my goal was to build a safe space for trying out things, asking questions, making mistakes. I think that openness really helped students approach AI with more curiosity than with hesitation. And so throughout, I kept framing AI as a collaborator. And so the value comes when they pair the tools and the capabilities of the tools with their creativity, judgment, reflection, and then really connections with students. So that's where I think where the real teaching aha moments happened.
I'm curious to know from our audience if they also have faced any of these challenges with AI adoption in their classroom. If anybody likes to share a story and a moment in their class where they had any skepticism, like are students really scared or are they just using AI? Because we want them to use AI, but we want them to use it the right way. Anybody would like to share an experience? Otherwise, Catherine, I'm gonna ask you.
Sure, I'm happy to share my experience as well. I did have some of my teacher candidates also expressing some initial skepticism about using AI. I had one student who was actually currently teaching in the classroom say that she felt like using AI was cheating and that she wouldn't be doing her job as a teacher if she was also using AI. And so what we did is we started with just some really slow steps in terms of integrating AI into her lesson planning so that she could really see the potential value that it could provide. So we even just started by using AI as a way to edit. even just for spelling and grammar errors. And then eventually we sort of picked one strategy at a time in each lesson plan. And our courses are 8 weeks. And at the end of the course, I wouldn't say that she was at the point where she was using it for all of her lesson plans. However, she was at the point where she was at least open to using it a little bit as a brainstorming tool in situations where she didn't have other strategies to come up with for her lesson plans.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Catherine.
Yes, of course.
Anybody else would like to share? Any other stories? Any other challenges with AI adoption in the class? Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide, Christine. Okay, and that is David.
That is me. If you want to just unshare, I'll just share my screen. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of Visible AI so you can kind of see how it all works. But just wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit. So again, as Preeti has already alluded to, it's Visible AI is not, it's not about detection. We're not trying to police the students. We're not trying to catch the students. And I know instructors don't want to be police anyways. I mean, that's not the role that you signed on for. You don't want to have to play that role and have this kind of adversarial relationship with your students. So what we've done is develop this authorship tracking tool that's going to break down that AI usage. So it's going to be very clear and transparent to, you know, where students used AI, how they used it, whether they pasted things from other sources, what was actual original student work. So it becomes a much more collaborative process, and so takes away that kind of adversarial, relationship with the students, preventing those false plagiarism accusations, but also ensure that students are using AI appropriately. And so instructors are going to be able to customize their AI guidelines for each assignment, rather than trying to enforce a one-size-fits-all policy, which would probably be really difficult anyways, because every instructor, every faculty might have a different threshold of what is acceptable AI use. And so this puts it in the hands of the instructors for each assignment to decide what is going to be acceptable. We have two goals with Visible AI. First, obviously that AI transparency and academic integrity. So again, just being able to distinguish where all this content came from, how the student built their assignment. But we also want to build up the AI literacy within the students, because when they get out in the real world, I mean, AI is not banned. They're going to be allowed to use it. And in fact, employers nowadays, they expect students to have these skills. And so they need to understand, how best to leverage AI, what's it good at, what's it not good at, how to use it responsibly and ethically. Because AI can be a great tool to help them enhance their work, but they certainly shouldn't be relying on it to do their work. And so it's not an alternative to critical thinking. And I think students need to definitely understand that. All right, so I'm going to now just jump over to the product here. So this is Visible AI. This is the instructor's view here. As you can see, it's a pretty simple product. I mean, I can create assignments, I can edit my course, I can deal with my roster. I do have a few assignments already created. What I want to do though is I want to create an assignment from scratch here, so you can kind of see the process. And so typical things, of course, I got to give it a title. I can put in some instructor notes if I want. So I could even drop in the URL for my LMS assignment, where it's existing on my LMS, where all the instructions are. So I could pop that in so it's right at the student's fingertips to get to the instructions. Of course, I'm going to schedule my assignment. I'll just drop in a date here. Now, as I mentioned, one of the things we want to do is help students, with that AI literacy. So after each assignment they do in Visible AI, they're going to be asked to do a self-reflection on their use of AI in that assignment. Now, it's really quick and simple. It's just 3 questions. How did AI help? How confident are you in the accuracy of AI-generated content? I think that's a really important question that students need to reflect on, because I think in a lot of cases, students just assume that the information they're getting from AI is accurate. And in fact, in a lot of cases, that's not necessarily true. So they need to verify their sources just like any other source they would use. And how much did you learn from using AI? So those are the questions that's going to answer. On top of that, though, instructors, if they want, can add in additional open-ended questions that they want the students to reflect on. So instructors can add in additional things if they wish to. Then I can start setting up my AI policy for this particular assignment. The first thing I can do is personalize my AI assistant. So one of the things that makes us a little bit different than a typical text editor is that there's a built-in AI assistant. And students actually have access to a few different AI models. there's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. So they have some choices, but the instructor can decide how that AI assistant is going to actually interact with the student. They have three options. So the default option, the AI will interact with the student in the typical way that AI interacts with people. So they're going to put in a prompt, they're going to get some sort of response or answer back from the AI. And it's going to be pulling from, the everything. So it's just going to be, again, just the typical way that AI operates. The guiding option is really encouraging self-reliance in the students. And so it's really more of a tutor and creating, kind of a dialogue with the students. It'd be much like a student coming to, a professor during office hours and asking for some help. The professor's probably not going to just hand them the answers. They're going to probably do things like, ask them, what have you tried so far? Have you thought about this? Maybe try this first. So it's really going to kind of give them a path and some direction, but not spoon feed them the answers. They're still going to need to come up with the answers. So again, creating that dialogue with the students. And then we also have a researching option. And much like the guiding or the default option, it is going to actually provide responses to the students, but it is going to be aligned with established research, industry standards, current trends. So it's pulling from a much smaller pool of information than the default one. So it's going to be a much more academic focus in the responses they get. And I know a future iteration that we're actually going to be coming up with, we're going to allow instructors even to start specifying what research it's able to pull from. So you could actually, put some boundaries around exactly, which papers, which research projects or whatever that you want the AI to pull the information from. And instructors can test this all out. I can pick the different options, put in a prompt, see what kind of response I get. So it can help me decide, which AI assistant is going to be best for this particular assignment. Then I can decide things like, well, first of all, do I even want to allow students to insert AI generated text? So I can turn that on or off. Same thing with pasted content. I can decide whether I'm going to allow them to paste things from outside sources. But if I am, what's the threshold for that? Now, to help instructors kind of figure that out, we ask them a couple of simple questions. What's your knowledge and experience level with AI? And what's your tolerance level of students using AI in the assignment? Based on that, we come up with recommendations of maximum AI and maximum copy and paste content. But this is all customizable. In the end, it's always up to the instructor to decide, what is actual acceptable AI use. So you get to decide that. If I want, I can even add some initial things to the content editor. So, I mean, the way it typically works is the students, when they go into a Visible AI assignment, it's a blank text editor that they can just start typing in. But if I want, I can add some things at the beginning. Maybe there's some things I want to make sure that they do or see, or maybe there's a form they need to fill out. Maybe there's a set of questions that I want them to answer. So I could, have a set of questions there that they just go in and answer, or whatever I want to do. So again, it's just a way of kind of, giving the students, again, a little bit more structure on the assignment if you want to. And that's basically it. So now I can go ahead and create the assignment, and you can see I now have this this test assignment created. Now I'm just going to go, I'm just going to go into this assignment. I'm just going to quickly create a rubric because I want to show you the grading side of things as well. And so we actually use AI to build the rubric. It's all easily customizable. If you already have rubrics you want to use, you can also just send them to us. We'll get them into your assignment for you. That's no problem. But as you can see, I mean, it comes up with a rubric. There's some nice features here. So first of all, I can decide what do I want to view this ascending or descending. I can easily modify any of the wording. I can get rid of criteria. I can delete criteria. I can delete levels. I can add additional levels if I want to. I can switch the order in which all of this stuff appears. I can, of course, add in additional criteria as well. So, pretty easy to customize this into exactly what I want. For our purposes, though, I'm just going to leave this as is. And so now, next step now, I've got the assignment created, I've got my rubric. So now we want the students to actually do the assignment. So I'm going to jump over to a student view here. And there's that test assignment we just created. So now when the students go in, as I said, basically what they get is a text editor, and it does all those typical things you expect from a text editor, but it has this built-in AI assistant. Now, as I mentioned, we have a few different models that students can use. So we actually give them the opportunity to kind of explore that. So again, there's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's Gemini. So I can actually put in a prompt here, see what kind of response I get to help me maybe pick which AI model I want to focus on for my particular assignment. But regardless of what they pick here, they're not locking themselves in. So they can still go ahead and jump to any of the other AI models if they want to. I'm just going to go ahead and put in a prompt here. So research on future of AI. So just a very simple prompt, not a very good prompt, but we'll just keep it simple. Now, I had left mine in that researching mode. So this should be a bit more of an academic focus that I get back from the AI when it responds to me here, which hopefully won't be too long. There we go. I could actually pick, specific things from here if I want. I can insert the entire blob of text just by clicking that button, or I could say, okay, this is a good starting point for my assignment. I'm just going to, insert this into my assignment. And so now I've got this AI text inserted into my assignment. It was automatically cited and referenced for the student. So again, teaching them that when they're actually taking things from other sources, it needs to be referenced. They need to indicate where they got it from. So we're helping to reinforce that. And as I'm going to show you when we get to the instructor side, you'll even be able to drill down and see the prompt that the student used, which AI model, the response they got that back. Everything's going to be completely transparent to you. Now, when I go to this view, I can actually start seeing a breakdown of the content. So I can see what's AI content, where's my pasted content, what was actual original student work. It also shows the students very clearly what the instructor has said is allowable. And so now, before I even submit the assignment, I know whether I'm within the guidelines the instructor has set out. So it takes away that fear from the students as well about, these false plagiarism accusations and that type of thing, because now they know that they're in compliance and they're doing things the right way. Now, in my example here, right now I'm at 100% AI content because that's all I've done is inserted this AI content. As a next step, maybe the student decides they want to do a little bit more research. So they pull up just go into Google, just do a quick Google search. And, maybe I come up and I find an article that I like. And as I'm reviewing that article, maybe I see something that I want to use. So I want to just cut and paste that into my assignment. Now, this is coming from outside of Visible AI. So I actually have to indicate where I got it from. Where did this information come from? And so I have a number of choices. Now, in my case, this was a website. So when I select website, it's now going to ask me for some additional information about that website. So I have to actually put the name of the article that I pulled it from. The name of the website was built in. I got to put in that URL that I got it from. If applicable, I can put in a publishing date. I can add some additional comments, and then I can go ahead and paste in my text. So now I've got this pasted content. I've got some original content. It's a very visual, all color coded, very easy to see where all this content came from. This pasted content was also automatically referenced. So again, no question of where it came from. And again, reinforcing with the students that they need to make sure that they're providing references of their sources. Now, at this point, though, maybe the student says, okay, I've done enough research. I'm going to start typing some things. So here is some original student content that they have typed themselves. So now you can see we actually have some original content as well. And again, all very visual, very easy to see. Here, the student made a major spelling mistake. And so students can use things like grammar checkers, spell checkers. We even have a spell check built right into our system. But if they do, what we're going to do is we're actually going to flag this. It still counts as original content, but we're going to flag it as AI revised content. So now you're going to know where students have used some sort of AI tool to improve their writing. For a lot of instructors, maybe that's not such a big deal. They're okay with that, but certainly things like English professors, for example. I mean, they may want to know that they're actually grading student writing as opposed to Grammarly writing and that type of thing. So again, we're just making everything completely transparent to the instructor. Students can also reference things right in line. Maybe as I was typing, I pulled a statistic from somewhere, so I can actually highlight it and add a reference right in line as to where exactly I got that information. Another really cool feature is there's a timeline. And so instructors can see exactly how this was built right from beginning to end. So everything's completely transparent and visible again. So now if a student decides to do something like, I'm going to just summarize a point here and I'm going to delete this one. Again, it was all cited and referenced, all the prompts and everything were there, but now with the timeline, I can also easily see, okay, you just summarized some stuff and deleted it. So that's not original student work. We do also have an AI detector built into our system. And again, that's not the primary purpose of our system. It's not about policing the students, but we did want to have that in there in case a student decides to do something like, open up a browser, do their own AI prompt, and then instead of cutting and pasting the content and citing it properly like they're supposed to, they decide they're just going to type it in. So they're just going to transpose the information. So our AI detector can kind of alert instructors if there's some suspicious text. And then again, I can go to this timeline and I can see the behavior behind how that text appeared. Because if a student transposed it, it probably appeared pretty quickly, very few spelling mistakes, not the way that students would type if they're, thinking, doing original thought and critical thinking. There's going to be all kinds of backspacing, revisions, pausing as they're thinking, spelling and things like that. So a completely different type of behavior behind it. So again, just just putting these kinds of roadblocks in front of the students to ensure that they are going to be using this responsibly and ethically. So now at this point, maybe the student says, okay, I'm ready to submit my assignment. So they can go ahead and submit it now. There's that little self-reflection. I'm going to skip out of that for now. I want to jump back to the instructor side here. Now, first thing though that I want to do just before I go in here, I'm just going to put this due date into the past because I want to show you the grading, but it has to be in the past before I can do grading. It can't be an ongoing assignment. So now when I go into the assignment, as you can see, I've got all the statistics here. So I can see the AI content, original content, pasted content, how likely it was AI generated, the AI revised content, total prompts that the student used. So, how reliant were they on AI throughout the process? Also time spent. And this can also be another great indicator for you because, if a 5-page report gets produced in 15 minutes, that's probably suspicious. So again, you can go to that timeline and kind of see how that text appeared. So we are tracking that time spent. But if I go into the actual assignment here, again, you're going to see the breakdown of all the content here. So again, I know that everything in red, that's AI generated content. Now, when I click on it, it actually shows me the prompt the student used, which AI model, the response they got. So everything's completely visible to me. And I can even comment on that prompt if I want. Probably the next big skill that students need to learn is, prompt engineering. Because coming up with good prompts to get the information you want from AI is not easy. It does take critical thinking. And so this gives the instructors an opportunity, if they want, to give the students some feedback and coaching on the prompts that they're using, and maybe ways that they could improve that. Same thing with the sources that they've used. So if any sources, I can see where it came from, but I can also add comments about the sources that the student has used. I can even do inline comments. So I can highlight some text, and I can provide a comment on that text as well. Really nice feature is I can make it a general comment, but I can also, because I have a rubric, I can link it to a specific criteria within my rubric. So I can now indicate that particular comment was specific to that particular rubric item. So it gives you that level of granularity, in giving feedback to your students. And then if I go to the grading side of things, so we do have a slider scale to try and make it easy, but I can also just go ahead and type things in. So I can put in whatever scores that I want here. So I'll just quickly go in, and as you can see, I can add comments to any of these criteria right from here as well. And okay, and so there's that final grade, and I can go ahead and post the grades. And now when I go back here, you'll see the grade was posted, and it's also going to automatically update within the the LMS. And we have LTI 1.3 integrations available for all the common learning management systems out there. Another thing I also just want to make sure I mention as well is that everything is all the data is private. It's all encrypted and secure. We're not feeding this back to ChatGPT to help them build their large language models or anything like that. This is all self-contained and private student information. And then one last thing I want to just quickly show is I can also download all this into a PDF, and it's going to have everything there that I need. So I can see the student information. I can see all the information about the assignment, what was allowable, where the student's at, of course, the assignment itself. I can see all of the prompts they used, the responses they got, all the references, and if I would have done that self-reflection, that would be there as well. So that's basically it for the demonstration. I'm going to pass it back to Preeti to take back from here.
Yeah, I was just responding to some questions in the chat. But Anna, I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, it is definitely, kind of a challenge, especially, that balancing. And Christine, I'd love to know your thoughts on this too, because it sounds like you teach shortened courses as well. We have this tension, and right now at my university, we don't have anything deployed, to kind of teach at the university level students the prompting and, the ethical and effective use of AI. So we're kind of left to sink or swim. And so I want to use it more in my courses that I'm teaching, but I also have it so full of content that it's like, where do I put this in,
Right. Kind of how I approached it was, what was great is I had face-to-face students, so I was able to model the use, introduce it first with some background knowledge of what AI is and how it works, and how prompting actually works. And so when I kind of showed it up on my screen as I'm teaching, I put myself as a student. And so kind of walking them through, I supported this learning by using actually like a template. So I put in a template and just starting with, okay, these are some of the information that you're going to need to prompt. And so for lesson planning, I'll show you in a minute some of the template, but as when you're lesson planning, you kind of have to know like what content am I teaching, what grade level, what's the audience that I'm creating this lesson plan for. You have to know the content, the standards, and then you have to know like what's the learning goal and what about the ELD. So as much as we can know about what we're going to be teaching. And then from there, utilize that information to ask a question or prompt AI to be able to get the output that we really want. And that's to brainstorm higher order thinking activities. And that's kind of what our assignment was for.
Okay, great. Thank you. I look forward to the examples too.
Yes, I'd be happy to show you.
You're muted, Preeti.
Sorry. Any other questions from the audience about Visible AI or anything for Christine? Okay, keep those questions coming in the chat. I'm going to share my screen so that I want Christine to have enough time to cover her slides.
So outcomes and reflections. I think our students left this experience more confident, and they felt more creative and reflective about their work and their teaching practice. Their AI literacy grew, but it's something that I know that from what I'm seeing in visual AI, that it's something that we need to continue developing. And I also see that they gained a stronger understanding of responsible and ethical AI use, knowing not just how to use it, but when and why they're using it. So being really intentional and reflective. And most importantly, AI really opened the door to meaningful conversations in our class about equity, bias, and critical thinking. I think David was talking about critical thinking, that it's not like a shortcut. It's really being able to deep dive into content. And so helping them to see how technology can both challenge and advance our commitment to serving our diverse learners. Some key takeaways, student takeaways, I would say, is I think Visible AI really supported our students' reflection through its structured interface. I truly appreciated the guiding mode because it supported students in two different ways. one for students new to AI use, and then another when they were less knowledgeable about content, like in lesson planning. It really guided them to first try it out themselves. And you'll see that in our sample work coming up. And then we encouraged them to initially to do the initial parts of the lesson planning first, like I said before, picking the content in ELD standards to create learning goals and using that information to create prompts to then use AI for refinement. That mindset shift from like, it's going to be easy, it's just going to spit out some answers for me, was huge in helping them understand and to see that AI is actually a collaborator. And because prompts and AI interactions were fully transparent using visual AI, I could actually see their thinking process and the growth. And so the visibility allowed me to give timely, targeted feedback to my students and meet them exactly where they were in their learning process and level. So here you'll see some of the examples. And so all the way to the right, you'll see kind of the template that I had our students use. And so the top part is that they needed to find the profile for their lesson plan. So they have the content standards and the learning goals, and they're utilizing that to generate lesson activities that are higher order thinking. Now, to the left, you'll see where the students started. They were actually a true beginner to utilizing AI. And so you'll see what is a lesson activity for ELA for defining narrative essay. So ELA is English Language Arts. And so that's the lesson plan that they're working on. And using the guiding mode, you can see it asked, what have you tried so far? And so in the responses, I've created an anchor chart on character and settings. And then you'll see all the brainstorming ideas that it came out with. My recommendation was pick 3, ask it to pick 3 brainstorming ideas, but it came, the student just kind of left it open-ended. And so it came out with so many different ideas. And so she picked 3 here and put it in. And part of the work is validating, is this work truly what they're looking for? And is it valid information? And so that's the reflective process. And then let's see the next one. This one is a student as well, and it's the same assignment. It's kind of like our first assignment that we've done. So it's like really introducing the visible AI to them. And so this one, it says, fill out this table for a 3rd grade ELA lesson based off of poetry. And so you can see, what have you tried so far? So it's kind of like walking them through. And then it said, how is this? And then it says, try first, then I'll guide you. What ideas do you have for the table? And so you'll see the student had to really think about their lesson. What's the content standard? What's the learning goals? And she input that in there, and it gave her so many ideas on brainstorming ideas on higher order thinking. And it says, do you see the error? It seems like you're close, but I notice you haven't filled in the best choice part. So it's actually actively asking them to reflect on their work. And so you see the growth in prompting, you see the growth in critical thinking here. And so I think that was really telling for me. And then lastly, I have one more. Similar example, I have the template, and then I wanted to see lesson activities for 2nd grade for math using measurements and data standards, and then numbers using base 10. So again, what have you tried so far? And then what are some activities that I can incorporate into my lesson? And it says, try first, then I'll guide you. And so the student is really forced to put more information into AI to get the specific output that the student is needing. And so, and then she prompted it to ask for more examples. So that is some of our samples. And I think it really going through the prompts and then the process of it all really helps me to see where my students needed more support and where they were going, and also their growth in AI literacy.
Amazing. Thank you, Christine. This was very, very helpful. Any questions from the audience? I think the main goal with there are not too many process tracking tools out there, but with AI coming up, I think what's happening is instructors are also seeing that the focus needs to be on the not on the final output, but actually on the process, so that now they have more insight into the student's thought process and guiding them through that, and being their being part of their learning process throughout, so they have full insight. And maybe this is a better way to learn, I don't know, but this with AI, this is going to be the reality. And with Visible AI, this is we are offering a process tracking tool, a method for instructors to see how their students are learning without affecting their critical thinking skills, and be ready with the AI literacy skills that students need when they go out in the workforce. So we have 10 minutes. I just wanted to cover a few next steps. If for those of you who are interested in trying Visible AI in their upcoming semester, we are offering pilots at some pilots that you can try out at your school. Maybe 2 or 3 instructors would like to come together and try Visible AI in a couple of assignments to kind of see we can help you on board. You can connect with Dave, and he can help you set up your Visible AI course on Visible AI, your assignment on Visible AI, and kind of like help you through the ropes. We have lots of tutorials. We have help center material that you can refer to. You can share you can share it with your students. We have some videos, video tutorials as well that you can share with your students. So we can help you onboard Visible AI into your assignments. Try it out and see if this is something that you'd be that could work for your course. But with that, I'm going to leave you with Dave's contact information, Christine's contact information. I will be sharing this recording as well as the slide deck with you after today's webinar. But if anybody like to ask any question, please feel free to do so. We have Christine, we have Dave. I'm leaving you all with some more resources here. We have some AI assisted assignments for your classroom that you can use in your course. There are plenty of disciplines. So whether you teach a business course, a science course, we have some ideas for you to get started. There are some prompts that you can try and use for your courses as well to design your assignments. And I'm hearing from a lot of administrators and faculty at universities that there is no AI policy template that their institution has rolled out. It's kind of like left to instructors to kind of figure out what works for them in their course at an assignment level. How much AI, how little AI, how no AI. So I have put together this AI policy template that's fully customizable. You can edit it. You can add your guidelines here. So if you'd like to download this, I'm going to be sharing. I can ask Paul. Paul, if you can share both these links on the chat for folks to download, that'll be great. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And any other questions for my audience? For Christine, for hi Diane, I saw you joined a little late. You're on mute.
I just said sorry. I'll have to look for the recording.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. This looks really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Christine, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your insights on Visible AI. I hope you continue to use the product and share more learnings as you use it in your upcoming semester.